Welcome back to the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And this is a space and a place that's safe. It's a soulful space for unpacking your courage, your clarity, your purpose, and your conviction as you become a love-inspired leader. I'm Carolyn Cooper, and today, oh my goodness, I am super thrilled and excited to bring you someone that I met a few months ago, and it was an immediate connection and understanding and alignment of the same core values that we live by. He is a true inspiration to me. He is living and leading as a love-inspired, I think, global position of leadership. And he's really fun, I'll warn you. And he's a dynamic keynote speaker. He's a positive intelligence mental fitness coach. And he's truly an engaging host of the Bolt podcast, which I had the honor of being on as his guest. Todd's journey from business leadership to mental fitness advocacy is his personal testament that how we rewire our thinking can not only transform our own life, but the lives that the people that we are honored to make a difference in our work, as well as our personal and professional relationships. So Todd, I'm so glad you're here with us today. And thank you for making the decision to come here and share your story. And, your story, I think, is so fascinating. It's very unique for me, as I mentioned before we got on this podcast. And it's an invitation for all of us to be curious right now. I just want our listeners to have an open mind, a state of wonder in what you're going to be hearing, and to lean into change, to find your own personal clarity here in listening to our conversation, and know truly that you can build resilience from the inside out. So, welcome, Todd.
Carolyn, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. You said make the decision to be here. There was no decision. You just had to ask. Anytime I get to spend some time with you, I know it's going to be inspirational. So thank you. Thank you for having me, and let's do it. Let's inspire, let's motivate.
Let's do it. Let's dive in, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. You've, I think, walked the walk, and you have gone on this journey of transformation in your life that I find intriguing. Every time we have a conversation, I get another little nugget, another understanding. And I think that, you went from sort of this resistance and frustration in your life and obstacles and challenges, and unable to manage how your emotions reacted in so many different forms, to building new habits and a completely new perspective on life. So can you share with the audience how you transformed impatience and temper into that powerful internal pause button through this incredible positive intelligence that you have implemented into your life?
Yes. Carolyn, I lived pretty much my entire life with a temper and no patience, and even in kind of a negative environment. And I say that in that my folks were, they were good parents, they're still together to this day. A loving family per se, but my mother was pretty negative, and I give her a pass. She had a really rough life, 2 alcoholic parents, and but anyhow, that's kind of how I grew up, and I saw her doing these things, and then I continued to build these habits of negativity and oh is me, and having this temper. And it was with me through childhood all the way up, really up until COVID. And it hindered it. I was a pretty good athlete, and I would get thrown out of baseball games. I got more red cards on the pitch in soccer than anybody that I knew. It became my brand. And I joke now, I have this kind of TB symbol icon for Todd Bertsch, but it really stood for Temper Bertsch. My friends, my buddies, that was how, they knew me. And it was kind of the joke. What's Bertsch going to do now? I remember one softball game as, an adult, I got upset because I struck out. I fouled out, which I did a lot. And I picked up the trash can and threw it across the field and got, tossed out of the game. And everyone laughed. I was funny. But I look back now and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like ridiculous, embarrassing. And I continued to do this. And honestly, Karen, I didn't really know how bad it was. Nobody, I grew up in the 70s. And in that time, nobody was really talking about mental health awareness. There was a program, but no, and as a male too, it was like, slap you on the butt and get back out there, buttercup, shake it off. So nobody was really taking the time to sit me down and talk about it and say, hey man, I think you got some potential, but you have this barrier that's keeping you from going to the next level. So anyhow, fast forward, and that, went on through my entire life into my career. And I had this idea, right? This notion of moving up the ladder and being in a leadership position and a management position and leading a team. And I could not get there. So I had to really kind of create that position for myself. And I started my own business, and that's really where I cut my teeth. And I look back now as somebody who is responsible for hiring people, and I say, oh my God, there's no way in hell I'd hire this guy. I don't.
You wouldn't hire yourself.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't even make it through the interview process. Definitely not the character traits that we look for, and the values. Now, I was a good person, really. I always cared for people and I helped people, and it wasn't like I was just some mean guy, but I just had these traits, and I would go from 1 to 10. I was a knee jerker. And what I go back to, Carolyn, is this one quote. This one quote really summarizes how I was and where I'm at today. And it's by Viktor Frankl. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's all about having that space, right? So when you have that space, you can choose your response, right? Between stimulus and response is that space. And when you have it, you can choose your response. And in your response lies your growth and your freedom. Well, the kicker for me, Carolyn, was I had no space. And I truly believe in today's society, many of us, especially in high-performing positions or high-demanding positions, don't have space. We're going back to back to back to back to meetings. Our teams have shrunk down. We're doing more with less. Budgets are cut. Things are tight. And then we get home. And, as those who have younger families, back to back to back, kid recital, soccer, baseball, volleyball, right? No space. So, gosh forbid, anything would throw you off, right? Within that limited time you have to get to all these places, and then you react. And when you react, that's where the issues arise. And that was my problem, because I didn't have the space. So I would just react, and I would go 1 to 10, and I would say or do something that wasn't appropriate and or I would regret. So when we have that space, like Viktor says, then we can reflect, right? So before we respond, we can reflect. And then maybe we do, maybe we don't even respond. So for me, during COVID, I had a coach reach out to me. I didn't know her, and we just had a Zoom chat during COVID, and she told me about the program, Positive Intelligence, which is right up there, the book. And I said, I'm in, man. I had already started a holistic journey. It started with sleep. I bought this Oura ring, and that was kind of this holistic approach to change. I was like, during COVID, I could do one of two things. It was kind of a crossroads moment. I could sit by the fire all day with a bottle of bourbon, a cigar, or I could go do something else. And I chose the one for a while, and it just got old. And I'm like, I need something more. I want to really take advantage of this time, or I'm just going to spiral, because I'm already super unhappy with not being able to see people, because that's my joy. That's what gets me up in the morning.
And it's the connection. Yes.
It's the connection. So anyhow, the world, brought us together, and I hired her right on the spot, and then she took me through the program. So I'm still doing the program 5 years later, and literally, Carolyn, you said it in the intro, I rewired my brain. I have, if I took an fMRI right now, you would see new gray matter in the sage part of my brain. So I went from destroying my brain in my teens to rebuilding it, rewiring it. And now I have an internal pause button. And that was a beauty. It did so many other things for me, but it gave me that pause. So now, I mean to tell you, nothing bothers me. The littlest things used to annoy me. Nothing bothers me. Now and people that knew me then say, wow, you're a whole different person. I don't even know you. And others that just met me say, I can't imagine you were like that. I'm like, well, yeah, but that was a change, but I had to make that choice.
Yeah.
And I had to do the work. I had to really dig deep, and ask myself some uncomfortable questions before I could see that result. So, change is all about getting uncomfortable. And I always say in my presentations, a great leader needs to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That is the new way of leading.
It is.
Because if you're not experiencing a little discomfort, then you're probably not leading far enough, right?
And you're not growing. You're stagnant. You're staying stuck. You're staying in the same old. So if we're not growing, we're dying. Truly. I mean, that's a fact.
That's
I love your story. I want this audience to grasp this energy in this room right now, because the truth is every single person listening here has the same courage that Todd has. You have the same opportunity to change. So if you are struggling with reacting to everything, with your kids, with your wife, with your work, with your strategic alliances as entrepreneurs, if you take yourself out and have to suffer the consequences of that behavior, I want you to have your big listening ears and your heart open and your mind open here right now, because change and transformation is our opportunity. And that's what happened at COVID. The truth was revealed because we had some space and some time. We could either continue down the same path of, getting in our own way with our thinking, with our behaviors, or we could open up to something new, to this power of possibility, and make the final and clear decision to change.
Right.
It's the decision that opens the door to opportunity. As you know, keys are all my philosophy on living your best life and fulfilling your greatest dreams. And what I respect about you the most is that you've been given this opportunity. You made the decision, because that's the first step, and then you had courage to keep navigating through the mud, because when you open this door to opportunity, a whole bunch of truth is going to be revealed.
Mm-hmm.
It is uncomfortable to look deep in the mirror and say, wow, you know what, that's me. So what am I going to do about that? And, with your keynote speaking, with your coaching practice, I just see you supporting people to be on the same journey that you went on, correct? And what I want to do with this podcast is I want to wake men up. Men, if you're listening, this is for you. Direct into the center of your mind, your heart, and your life. Because it's not up to anybody else to do this. It's your responsibility. You're accountable for it all, your entire life. So are we as women, but women are blessed, I think, Todd, because we have this opportunity of really having an understanding of feelings and emotions and what the experience of that. I mean, we've had that our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And so can we, what I'm super curious about is, what was it that really got you? Because when you're going through change, you got to keep going. You can't stay stuck. It's an ongoing journey. Like you said, you're still on it. So am I.
Mm-hmm.
It's, what were some of the nuggets, the key elements that you went, oh, well, that changed things. Hold on a second. I'm going to continue down this path of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Well, wait a second. Wow, look at the conversation I had, or look at the result I got, and look at how I feel right now. Wow, that's different than what I've experienced in the past. So can you give us just a couple of those gems and nuggets that were what I call the hard rights in life, right? So you turn that hard right like in a car, and you have to lean in. It's uncomfortable, but you just know you got to keep going down that path. Can you give us just a couple of those things?
Yes, absolutely. Happy to. And I think, it goes back to, I think, the question of why. Why do we resist change? When we know it's inevitable and it likely leads to growth. And it's really one word. It's fear. We all, right? So we have our survival brain that's fear-based, right? It's not our fault. It's just evolutionary. It's a way that we have evolved, right? It kept us out of harm's way, and it continues to do so, and we need it. But what we teach in positive intelligence is that imagine your hand over a hot stove, Carolyn. Put your hand out with me. Oh,
and then you're going to pull back.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to keep it there. So it's a signal to let us know we're in harm's way. But when you hold on to it too long, more than a second, you start to sabotage your performance, your well-being, and your relationships. Get your hand off the hot stove, right? We need fear. We need our emotions. We need negativity, right? It tells us where we're at, how we're feeling, but we need to be able to recognize and redirect that. And we call that shifting into our sage brain. And then we can experience different emotions: curiosity, joy, empathy, peace, calm, gratitude. Sign me up, baby. That's where I want to be. Yes. So you asked me the nugget. When you start to experience that, it's that dopamine. It's that rush, right? It's that, I don't want to go there. I want to go here. Until you experience that, you don't know what it's like. So, but here's the kicker. The kicker is, how do you get people? How you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. So that horse needs to make a choice. And unfortunately, it typically takes a traumatic event, like what happened to me when I was a teenager doing drugs and alcohol and got beat up by a couple of guys really bad. That was the trigger for me to say, okay, I almost died. So I could either continue doing what I'm doing and stay in a fixed mindset, or I can embrace growth and lean into change and discomfort. I had to make the choice, and I did, and I stayed on that path. And I've popped in and out of a fixed mindset over the years, and we tend to do that. And I think, people need to be, one, just educated on our mindset and how important our mindset is, and that being like a set of eyeglasses. That is the lens through which we see the world. And too often we carry those outdated lenses, those outdated beliefs from childhood all the way through our life. If you have a pair of eyeglasses, you're going to change it every year. You need to keep that updated. You need to be open. And it really comes back to one thing, Carolyn, and it's curiosity. So when I mapped, and I think I share with you my mindset continuum, I wanted to see my whole life mapped out. And imagine a median line, and then you have a growth mindset above the line, stealing your words, and a fixed mindset below the line. And I wanted to really see if there was any correlations in my life and why I was in a fix, how I got out of fix into a growth, and why I stayed in a growth mindset. And it really came back to curiosity. When I was at my highest points of curiosity, and I mean going beyond the novel curiosity, I'm talking about epistemic, where there's a deep thirst for subject matter. Then you're open, right? You're asking those open-ended questions. You're not giving answers. You're saying, what if? What else might be true? What have I missed? And when you do that, you're continuing down. So the nugget, Carolyn, you asked me, it's being curious. That is the spark to get you out of a fixed mindset and to make the choice. And it's also the catalyst, the momentum, the fire to keep you going, to stay in a lifelong, I call it it's the infinite game, like Simon Sinek says. You're going to get to that summit. It's not a checkbox and you're done, baby. No, you look for the next summit.
Well,
Don't stop.
They keep happening. So
We just keep going.
and I just had my birthday, which was incredible. And, I love life as you do. And I find that the dedication and commitment to be 100% accountable for our entire experience of life and business is the only position to function from. And to me, as I evolve in this, what I call thinking above the line, you call it growth mindset, as you said earlier, the line is the line of choice, the line of decision. And below the line, is fear, doubt, regret, anger, resentment. I mean, that's constricting. So my life gets smaller and much more stressful, anxious, and it doesn't add to my life, it takes away. So I'm, like I always say, and what happens is when you tap into this power possibility of a growth mindset of thinking above the line with curiosity and wonder, and what happens is you expand your awareness in a way that life becomes this grand adventure. It's like, wow, really? And then all of a sudden, what happens, you start getting clues of that evidence. You are given that evidence and you start manifesting specifically what you're focusing on. And to me, that's the sizzle, that's the fire, that's the joy, that's the celebration, that's the appreciation and the gratitude. So, see, I just love everything that you said there. And the one piece that I want people to take away is this: you can do this. And you don't have to do it alone.
Right. And I'll add, you don't have to do it overnight.
No.
This is where I think people get hung up. We're not trying to move the mountain in one day. We're not trying to climb the mountain. You're not going to go run a marathon tomorrow if you've never ran before. You're going to start with just a couple of steps around the block, then a 5K, then a half marathon, and then a full, right? You're going to work your way. It's small. We call it just small shifts. Try one simple routine, one little habit that gets you a little uncomfortable. And then you hit that dopamine rush and you see, oh, wow, this works. I can do this. And next thing you know, you're adding more and more and more. And then you're just happy. You found joy, bliss. It takes time, but you're going to see instant results. You just have to start, right? What do you have to lose? That's why I always say, and so I try to tell people, don't feel overwhelmed. Like you said, you can do this. And here's the thing that I love, this little exercise I talk about. talk a lot about discomfort, right? And that's fear-based, the fear of the unknown, the fear of pain, suffering. I might fail. I might get rejected, imposter syndrome. I've never done this before, whatever. Our brain, we crave discomfort, but we as a society have set ourselves up to not experience any, right? Think about the air conditioning, right? Just even the temperature, we're always trying to regulate it to be perfect.
To be comfortable and things to stay the same and things to stay in a comfortable position. And I call being in your comfort zone that way is dangerous because you're not growing. It's exactly what you're saying right now.
It's super dangerous. But here's what I challenge your guests, the audience, is say, look, you've experienced discomfort before. Do you do any physical activities right now? Do you do yoga, Pilates, run, work out, bike? Have you ever had a child? I was thinking about this today in the shower.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know not all women have, but a good percentage have. There is nothing. Now, obviously, I'm a male. I don't know, but
you are correct.
I've been in the room and have experienced watching two children be born. And I've had 10 kidney stones, which I've been told are as close to experiencing, birth that a male could potentially in terms of the pain factor, the discomfort factor. But anyhow, so I'm saying what my point is, we've experienced discomfort before. We've experienced a growth mindset before, because when we were born, we were in a growth mindset. That's all we did was grow. We didn't know any better. So we were just trying, failing, falling, growing, literally, physically.
And, I love this analogy. I was thinking about this the other day. It's funny that you should mention it right now, there's the incubation stage and the pregnancy, and then you give birth. So to me, the way I look at growth mindset, fixed mindset is that it's making a decision that we can live our best life and to be curious on what the elements of that could be. So it's making a decision for yourself and staying open and curious. And it's being bold enough and brave enough to go after it. So, I mean, this shows up everywhere with being a husband, a wife, a parent, an entrepreneur in the different areas of business. It filters through absolutely every experience we have in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I have morning rituals that used to be 3 things, and then it turned to 5, then it turned to 8. It's 11 now.
Yeah.
So I always say that I'm incredibly curious and hungry and thirsty to experience the what love is, what love does. Because to me, on your podcast, you know this, love is all there is. Love is the answer. So staying in that fixed mindset is not contributing to your life. It is taking away. So it is the opposite of making that decision, because when you become better, everything in your life becomes better. Your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your children, your ability to be present in the moment and to trust this flow of love and life in happening within your life experience. And, there's a lot of people that speak about what we're talking about here. And I hold the space that hearing this time, that you decide.
Right.
This time.
Yeah.
Because you have to hear it from different people sometimes. Don't you find that, Todd? And then it lands, right? So otherwise,
somebody's story that resonates, someone that you can relate to, say, man, I had a temper before. I didn't think I could ever fix that. But hell yeah, you can. You just got to do work. You got to give yourself that space, and you got to get out of the fixed mindset. The comfort zone is the absolute worst place to be. And I don't want to say it's hell, but it's not good. And I love you said, if you're not living, you're dying.
Well,
honestly, And it doesn't mean every single minute of every day.
No.
Get home from a long day and I just want to veg and watch something useless. And I can't consume anything more in this little noggin of mine.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But we need to be cautious of the ping pong effect of going in and out of a fixed and growth. Once you start to see those traits of avoiding challenges or not accepting feedback or giving up easily or hitting that default button, you're slipping back into a fix. Let's shift back out into a growth mindset. So,
I always say, aim higher. Like it's rising up. So the decision is there, yet it's a matter of really leveling up your own individual, personal self-awareness. So it's looking at the evidence you have in your life and then going, okay, so how was that end result? How did I contribute to that?
Mm-hmm.
And then having that accountability with it too. So, I just love this conversation. So we're talking about mental fitness. You mentioned marathon, and you can't run a marathon tomorrow because you can't. I'll tell you, you can't. And I ran my first one at like 54 many years ago, and I had a group of high school people, and we did it together in Los Angeles in the pouring rain. It was a glorious experience, but I did 5K, 10K. I did 11 half marathons before I chose to bring it on up to do a full. And it was a glorious experience coming across that finish line, because it wasn't that I was just coming across the finish line for the race. It was that my commitment to myself. And I think where I want to go next with this is this decision to have your own mental fitness. There's physical fitness, there's mental fitness, there's spiritual fitness, but it's this mental fitness. It really is a tool, isn't it? And it's Absolutely. The way to live with purpose and possibility. And all of us have this opportunity of living our best life.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for someone else to do that for us. And I see you as such an inspiration for men that, they can change things.
Mm-hmm.
But before we got on this podcast, I said to you, it just breaks my heart for so many men, professionally that I know, personally that I know. I'm in a city that I went to school here. So I've known some of them for 60 years. 60. And you know what? They're in their late 60s and they have given up. They're just like, no, this is my life. This is the way it is. I can't change anything. My body's changing. I'm not. So what would you say to those men who think that their life will just be that way until they die? That they what would you ask them? What would be a question that you could ask them to invite them to open their mind, to be curious, to have that sense of wonder?
I think that's a great question. I think it comes down to incentive. We all want some incentive. So do you have, I always say, like, to parents or at that age, your kids are obviously gone and out. Do you have grandchildren? Would you like to spend more time with your grandchildren? Would you like to be on that golf course 2 more days a week? Would you like to be more competitive? Would you like to just be happier? Would you like to live long? We all, I think, want to live longer. If you go back and you watch, there's a great documentary on Netflix about blue zones.
I love that. I saw it. I love it.
I read Ikigai, which is the Japanese philosophy they talk a lot about. And the number one blue zone is Okinawa. And those people have figured it out. And it's all about having purpose. And it could be the purpose is just to go and get in your garden every day and move. That movement, the purpose of connecting with other people in your area. They celebrate everything. So there is always a reason to get up in the morning. And I'm now a caregiver for my parents who are now in their 80s. And, I tell them, like, what is the one thing? Why do you get up in the morning? It's not to get up and sit on that couch. You got to find something, a nonprofit, a book. What have you always been passionate about that you've never done? Watch the birds, take a photography class. Hell, we have all these resources online. You could learn about anything you want, and honestly, probably for free. And we still have that one thing called a library, which you can go check out just about anything. There is no excuse. We are the most resourceful society era that we've ever been in. You just have to make the choice. Instead of doing and hitting that default button, what I call Groundhog Day, the same old, make a change, make a detour. Yeah. Instead of driving the same routes every single day or walking the dog around take a different path or get in the car and go to a park. That's a little discomfort. You're doing something new. And you know what? Especially when you get to be a little bit older, that little challenge for your brain, that's helping. That's keeping you away from it being, sedentary and just sitting there and not doing anything. It's all movement and change and trying something new. It's okay. What do you care? What do you care about? What are you going to lose? So
what are you going to win? What are you going to win?
Right. And so the question is, so what's the incentive? What really gets you up? Do you want to just live longer? Great. That's the incentive. Or ask yourself, what would be the result? What would be the growth that I would see as a result of making one small shift? Walking 5 minutes in the morning, having a gratitude practice, meditating for 5 minutes. These are all things that are free, easy. Anybody can do them. You don't need a coach.
Simple.
You just need to start.
Yes, please. And
grab the book, Atomic Habits. That alone, right over there, will get you started.
Right. And make the decision right now as you listen to my voice and Todd's voice. Make the decision right now to be a lifelong learner. Doesn't matter how old you are. I've interviewed women on my podcast who are 80 that started their business at 70, and they are changing the world with purpose, passion. They can hardly wait to bolt every day. And, we're here to experience life with purpose and joy and fall in love with our life, because it's such an opportunity. And my mom passed away at 93 4 years ago, and we're writing this book about love in business called The Grand Connection. And I led a global networking community at the time that was called The Grand Connection, which was wonderful. And her purpose for her life, every week I went on Sundays for 3 hours. I would hit my computer, big font, type away. Okay, what's next, Mom? Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, how about this? No, Carolyn. No. That's the wrong focus. It's got to be this way. I'd say, okay. What else, Mom? So, I think it's a responsibility. If you have aging parents, it's our responsibility to support them, inspire them with the tools, the strategies, and the practical processes that we live by, and inspire them to just take one little step. It needs to be simple. I got my mom walking. I took her to the driving range. She told me that I, was doing everything wrong, golfing, and I did get better. She'd stand up. No, Carolyn, don't hold it. No, give it to me. So I supported her to feel important. And, I think it's our responsibility with our family, with our children. Both my kids are major entrepreneurs, super they're in their 20s. They just bought their first homes. Did the same when I was in my 20s. And so it's our responsibility to live this way. And this is what inspiration is to me. It's how to be inspired living. I want to be 110 years old and have the same vitality in life that I do right now or more.
Well, you're on your way.
Yeah.
67, I would have never guessed it. So, yeah, what you're doing, I want to know what those 11 habits are in the morning.
Well, I start my morning ritual. As soon as I'm conscious, I go to a minimum of 10 places for gratitude. I've trained my thought system to do that. So now it automatically goes to gratitude. And each piece that I focus on, I say the word because in order to imprint the reason, as you were saying earlier. So I am grateful for this incredible opportunity to interview people like yourself, because I know that the world needs this right now, Todd. Because I know people need to know this truth and be able to learn and expand and grow and make a bigger difference in the world.
Yes.
I mean, that was one of my. So that's the first. Then I journal, 1 page. And then I do a recording that I put out on social media. I'm wearing my dad's house coat. I have not brushed my hair, brushed my teeth, anything. I've had my toast and my coffee. And I share the principles and concepts of where people get stuck. And I give them an antidote every day. So that's my marketing in my pajamas.
Yeah.
And then I do a 5K run. I'm in nature's nurture every single day. It's a sacred experience for me. I'm so grateful that I am strong. And I do yoga, weights, planks. I do something called magnified healing. I'm a certified magnified healer. And so it's a distance and people's names there. So I do that. And then and that's what I do every day. And it's growing, because I realize that unless I honor myself with my own personal commitment to be accountable for my energy, for my thinking, speaking, living, and leading above the line, which is your growth mindset, I got big dreams here. I want to speak on stages all over the world and bring this message that and I think you and I are going to do some of that in the future. My intuition. So
yeah.
It's a matter of dreaming big with a really positive intention in making a difference. And it's knowing that you're getting ready. I feel like I'm preparing myself. I feel like I'm just getting ready, and I'm ready now. So those commitments every morning, I get up early, 4:35. It takes me 5 hours to do that. And so, and as you get older, it's important, I think, men and women, that we need to step it up as far as moving our body, because I get oxygen in my body. So it just needs to happen. But I know I'm here. This is my living legacy to bring the realization that love is all there is, and that fixed mindset is just a distraction. That's all it is. So when we decide that, we're important, our family's important, our business contract, that's when we can rise up and tap up into that growth mindset, or thinking, speaking, and behaving above the line. So that's why I love talking to you. This is so great. So let me just ask you 2 more questions and then we're done. Oh my goodness, look at the time. So, what do you think is the key elements here, if we're going to kind of bring this into a circle of understanding? So what do you consider the key elements of, intentionally having that growth-focused leadership in our individual lives? So whether we are a, 70 and 80-year-old grandma, grandpa, like you're saying, or a corporate, individual that's running huge teams, what would the major key elements that you haven't shared yet, what would they be?
Well, I think it's a responsibility, right? I think first off, just know that if you're in a leadership role, and when I say leadership role, that's pretty much everybody, right? You could argue that just about every role is a leadership role, especially a parent. So if you're listening, you're a parent, you're in a leadership role, right? So that's a huge responsibility. And your responsibility is to inspire and motivate and support those around you. So when you take care of yourself, you're going to be able to better serve everyone around you. And what we say is there's that ripple effect. So when you are in a great spot, when you are in a growth mindset, when you're happy and you found joy and bliss, full of love, then others are going to do the same. And they're going to start to grow together, support each other, and create those safe environments where taking a risk or stretching, right? Getting yourself into a project that maybe you're not accustomed to, and maybe failing is okay because there's no fear of judgment. You've created this safe space. So that's really important, but you need to create growth-oriented culture. If we're talking about leaders in business, I don't care how big your team is. If your team doesn't feel safe, right? If we quit focusing on the results and being a perfectionist and really just focus, I always say, just pretend like you're a scientist, right? Let's experiment. When we experiment, we're iterating, we're curious, and we're lifelong learners, right? And our team, they're going to be happier. You're going to see more innovation, more creativity. They're going to be better problem solvers. They're going to be more engaged, which is a huge problem right now. And then when you see all that, you're going to see better productivity and better revenue because your people are happier and they're working and they have purpose. They feel like they're doing something of value and they're growing. We all want to grow. That's the thing.
We yearn for it.
We all want to grow. We all want discomfort. We're just, again, we're afraid of it. That's the fear factor. So anyhow, I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, I totally did. It answered it beyond. And here's the other piece, people want to belong. They want to know that they're working for an organization, that there is purpose, that there is meaning, and they can engage their own core values and things that matter most to them and be a part of the development and the growth of that. And I mean, I've worked in many industries, but when you see that transformation, that shift as a consultant or a coach, it's so meaningful and inspirational too. And then you're living, an opportunity that you created part of this transformation. Mm-hmm. And so, whatever result that anybody is facing right now, personally, professionally, physically, emotionally, that there are answers, Mm-hmm. So I just want to let people know that there's going to be an incredible gift from Todd, and I have a gift for you too. It's my 21-day above the line living, and it's to live, love, and lead with unapologetic courage. And it's 21 days of a 3-minute recording. Yes, it's my recordings in the morning. It's an expansion of 3 minutes, and it's my journal, and it will give you reflections. It'll give you an opportunity to do your own journaling. I have questions for you. So that's my gift to you that will be here in the show notes. Todd, the last thing I want to say to you, I absolutely love your newsletter. I just feel it. I get it. I think it's so powerful. I love the themes that you take people on. You give them such incredible, valuable information that they can resource to make that change. So you're going to be supplying them with a link to your newsletter and share with them what your gift is to your contribution to them.
My contribution to the world?
Just to the audience. Well, you're going to be supplying them. Let's see. You have your gift, so they can discover more. They can go to toddbertsch.com. Correct? Yeah. Mm-hmm. and they can explore the gift of connection and a heart invitation to deepen their own relationships. So I think your work is truly transformative, and I just want people to know that Todd is your resource.
I'm happy to. Yeah, I would love to connect with people. Happy to provide a free consultation and discuss what positive intelligence is all about. I'll leave with this, Carolyn. I believe that we all have potential, right? It's just that spark. That's what I'm all about, right? It's just that spark. So we all just need to ignite that spark. And once we ignite that spark, right, then we can get curious. We can get into a growth mindset through intentional action. And we all had it. So you had it. So if you think of it in that way, that means you can get it back. Yes. Right? It's not something.
It's always there.
It's always
there, and it's waiting for you.
It's waiting.
It's actually waiting for you.
Oh,
and it is.
It's waiting.
Mm-hmm. And you can remember.
Just go grab it.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. So as always, thank you for spending time with us on this love-inspired leadership podcast, and how you're cultivating your own mental fitness, your growth mindset, and the love in your own leadership journey this week. If this episode sparks something in you and opens something up within you, please share it and subscribe for more courageous conversations that I have here. This is truth here, and we are here to change the world, truly. So these conversations, I know, are here to light up your life and your living legacy. So thank you, Todd. And I'm going to have you back. I'm warning you right now. I'm having you come back. So thank you. And reach out to Todd, and wishing you much success.
Thank you. I love our conversations. I'll be back anytime you invite me.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. If today's episode stirred something in your soul, share it with someone who's ready to aim higher. Keep holding your vision, anchor in your truth, and take intentional, inspired action, because love is all there is.
Hey, I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we are honored to have Carolyn Cooper's Love-Inspired Leadership show as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com, and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift fold. Till then, stay high vibe and keep sharing your life.